guy, Dan. How are you this
Well,
afternoon?
hey, Tom. I'm doing great.
That's good. This afternoon, I have the honor of going and doing a podcast with Dan Bruski of SICK Incorporated. Air Hydropower has represented SICK for 19 years. It is one of our very top automation manufacturers that we represent, and we've had a long-standing, great relationship with the company. And Dan, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got involved with SICK and what you do for SICK?
Great. Yeah. I appreciate it. Yeah, and I've known Air Hydropower and you for quite a few years. So I've been with the company about 23 years. So I actually thought you guys were around about as long as that, but pretty close. Exactly. So I know I'd run into you guys every year or every other year. Sometimes I'd be bringing some of my colleagues from SICK AG. So SICK being the actual last name of Dr. Erwin SICK, who started the company. Kind of looks like an acronym, but headquartered in Germany. But I started here with the company in Minneapolis area in Minnesota 23 years ago, doing product management, mainly for sensors, distance measurement sensors, inductive sensors. So helping get them developed, finding the customers. And that's where I would be meeting with Air Hydro, with you guys and your salespeople to go out and visit your customers, especially if they're having challenges or looking to include and update some of their automation, and working with you guys to better understand our products, what you guys have to offer, and how you can provide those solutions to your customers.
Cool. That's neat. That's interesting. People always do say, that product's SICK. Why is it called SICK? And people don't realize it's a family name. And are any of the SICK family still involved in the business?
They're around. I don't know. I'm not sure how involved, and I probably should know. But we did. Dr. SICK passed away a while ago. We're coming up on our 50th anniversary here in the U.S. But he started the company in 1946, and for trying to use technology for good. So as an engineer, started in a woodshed. It's the modern day starting in a garage. And Gisela SICK, his wife, just passed away. I think, it was 100 and some years old 2 years ago. So she was still actively involved in the company, in working with particularly just the community. There'd be new art put up in the building from different artists you would bring in, and so yeah, there's still family involved, second and third generation. People are still, and it's still a privately held company, family held company.
Wow. Now, with that family held company, I've always heard in the past that a lot of the profits of the company are put back into the company in product development.
Yeah.
Do you have an idea of how much is put back in every year?
Yeah, I've heard 10% year over year over year.
Wow.
10% of, and that's the revenue, not profits.
Right.
So
Revenue.
and that's why
Wow.
it makes, yep, right. And so now that's well over $1.5 billion dollars put back into developing new products. Also, though, sometimes we're coming out with new stuff as a product manager. We're always interested in the new things and the launches, but also it's going back and kind of redoing some of the standards. So being around this long and getting a lot of say photoelectric sensors and other sensors in the market. I got a box down here somewhere. I just had shipped to me the new 12 version. So that doesn't mean anything to a lot of people, but it's the housing style. Here it is. Not that it's that interesting, because it's just boxes right now. So I'm going to be opening these up. This is the new -2. So I guess what I like about it is we can bring to Air Hydro. It's like, yeah, you guys have been selling lots of this W12 sensor in automation. This is we spent probably, I don't know, $1 million, whatever, on R&D to create a new ASIC, new LEDs, new technology, and ability to not be messed up by background noise and background lights, and be able to see your product and increase now how it works well for the customer. So not just inventing new things. I guess the idea is also reinventing the old stuff that works.
Oh, that's cool. Now, when you say, what all does SICK make? I mean, it's very diverse product line, right? How many
Yeah, yeah.
different pillars have you got of products within SICK?
I break it down to, and I'm starting, over 20 years ago, we had 3 divisions. So I still kind of look at it that way, that we've actually increased a little bit more, but there's sensors. And actually, we'll put that off to the side for a second because there's safety. So we do a lot of stuff with safety. That was Dr. Sick's first entry into the market. He invented the first safety light curtain, and there's been a lot of firsts
Oh,
and a
wow.
lot of patents after that. So safety's always been a thing. So a lot of the yellow light curtains and safety scanners. So there's that side that's grown. Safety interlocks, and then there's also the identification area, and it's gone by different names, market names, but it's your barcode and RFID side of the world. Then cameras, vision inspection. So there's that, and then the sensors part is everything else. So it's from photo eyes to magnetic inductive sensors, and even encoders. We kind of lump in the sensors category. Shock, temperature, vibration, condition monitoring, and that's all in that lump. So I feel for you guys bringing in and bringing in SICK to your customers. It's not just one company. It's almost like having 5. But it's great because we all just work together and you're all supported, with the same people. But yeah, it's quite a great group and great place to be. I mean, for 20 some years, because of just the diversity of everything, all sorts of different markets and all sorts of different products.
That's wild. I know that we enjoy that diversification. It's hard to go into a customer and not be able to show them some type of a solution that SICK can help them with on that automation side of the business. That's good. The
Yep.
what markets are you guys very large in? What's your sweet spots around the world?
Whiskey, bourbon, and horses. So that's why we have you guys,
That's
so
right.
yeah.
There you go.
Very nice. uh and we kind of lump those into different markets too. There's some special needs for each one. Logistics automation, which, all right, what the heck is that? So it's conveyors. Like, we don't make the conveyors, but a lot of our products are on conveyors. So if you get anything shipped to you at your house by a large company, or you're going to department stores, pretty much everything that you get has passed through a tunnel, a scan tunnel with our barcode readers on it from SICK, and cameras and dimensioning systems. So logistics and getting products from point A to point B. Automotive, and very specifically, not on the vehicles. We are on vehicles if they're like off-road vehicles. So, mining, machining, large machines, farm implements, things like that. We're on those. But you're not going to find our ultrasonic sensors, which we have. They're not a part of like the backup detection system on a car. But the manufacturing of the car, and building them. So automotive, electronics and solar, food and beverage, consumer goods, packaging, a lot of just final end line packaging stuff. So, and just general machine building. So in your area, your customers, you're doing any kind of, CNC machining, building packaging machines. That's our sensors are, available to be used for automating those processes.
That's nice. You see all these driverless cars that are coming about, and is any of your technology on the cars? I know they are on AVGs that we sell.
Yep. A lot of AVGs, but not on a lot. Like I said, we're typically not on road. I'm trying to think if there's any exception to that, but for the most part, we're not on the vehicles. With the one, I don't know, caveat to that. Quite a few years ago, when Google Maps started, and you had the Google car driving
Yeah,
around the Street
yeah.
View, those all had the SICK tan looking outdoor rated LMS LiDAR scanners. So that's what was mapping as they're taking pictures. The way to kind of turn that into a 3D so that, we users can move it around, is there was the LiDAR, a couple of them on the car, measuring the distance to the house and the tree and everything else so that they can match up the pictures and almost like the movie with then actual dimensions. And that's how you would move around with that. And some of that came from, they chose that because of the DARPA challenges. So many years ago, the DARPA Defense Agency Research, whatever, they had their DARPA challenge of colleges, universities, and people like that, a competition to see who can get a car to drive. I don't know, it's coast to coast, or if it was, I don't know, so many miles across the desert without anybody in it. And that really kind of put if you want to say, put the LiDAR sensor on the map for automotive and mapping stuff. So other than that, though, I don't think we're on too many on-road vehicles at this point. But AGVs, automated fork trucks, automated excavators, farm implements, all sorts of stuff.
That's great. That's a growth market. That's a high growth market. I know we're one of the largest mirror distributors in the world, and there's an awful lot of SICK product on each one of those particular units. There's one at every corner. So make sure you're keeping it safe. Yeah.
Actually, if you don't mind me asking you a question, what is your largest market for SICK products?
That's a great question. Our market, we've got an extremely diverse market, depending upon whether you're in AHP North or AHP South. AHP North consists of Kentucky, West Virginia, Indiana is that primary area. And then in the South is Alabama, Panhandle of Florida, and Mississippi. In the North, we do a tremendous amount in the automotive sector, a lot in the safety side of the business.
Okay.
We also do a lot in the conveyance area also with our material handling people. The white goods space, which is General Electric Appliance Park. We do quite a bit of business there with SICK. Our largest, one of our largest SICK accounts is a company called Lantec, which is a shrink wrap manufacturer. Interesting thing about that company, the original machine, which was designed over 45 years ago, was designed on one of our salesmen's drawing boards. And that's when the customer came up with the idea in his house and needed ideas. And that back then, our salesman had drawing boards that they used to do and work off of. And he actually helped design that the Lancaster family in doing that. And they've been a fantastic customer for all those years since then. So, and they sell shrink wrap machines all over the world. But we've got it down south. It's a different markets. Again, automotive is large down there. Both Mercedes plant has a lot of SICK content, but we're also having in Toyota down there. But there's in the aerospace industry, there's a lot of stuff that's involved in safety light curtains in the aerospace industry that we're involved with. We're involved with the wood and paper and pulp industry down there. There's a large paper and pulp industry. So, that's the nice thing about SICK. There's so many different applications that you can use your products in that you can go almost into any market and help a customer out. So SICK is our largest automation line that we have next to Mir. But, as far as component supplier, you're the largest one we have. So.
Yeah. And you're a large distributor for us because, at the end, too, as awesome and cool as our stuff is, they're I hate to put it down, but widgets. These sensors and these things like that, we need you guys to go, and I don't know if we want, if you consider yourself integrating them or not, but sitting at that drawing board and saying, this is how you can use these sensors. And then the other stuff that you guys have on the line card to put it together for the customer. So they're not having to kind of, all right, well, I got the sensor from here, but then I need to get a HMI from over there, and some of those markets we would never be able to reach, without you guys being there daily with some of those.
The customer wants a total solution that day. The customer doesn't have time nor the resources anymore to go and to have science fair projects of going and putting all this stuff together and everything. They want a proven solution. One of the things that we did to help stimulate our sales of SICK a couple of years ago was put together a battle bag. And in that, we've got all of the SICK's latest products across all the different pillars that we take out and have each salesman has one, has been trained on that, of how to use that product. But when they go and show that solution for maybe at the very end, they've got to go back all the way to the PLC. How do we get back to that PLC to make sure it's getting the input? So it's the battle bag though has been one of our biggest areas of success
Nice.
with growing sales with SICK and providing solutions for our customers.
Yeah, I like that mentality of that too, because it can be very overwhelming. We have 400 families of sensors.
Yeah.
So having that kind of that battle bag saying, all right, generally speaking, here's your application. You need to detect something about this far. All right, well, here's 3 families of sensors. Let's start there. And those would be good ones to use. And, you need it washed down. Okay, then we'll have to pivot maybe, a little bit. But yeah, so. Yeah. And being able to bring it all the way back to the PLC, you're right. And just all that connectivity and set up and input cards and everything else, or bring it back to the IO Link master.
That's right. IO Link is really
that
growing.
home run all the way back. Yeah.
That's exactly right. Hey, with this new world with AI, and this machine learning and everything that's going on, how is SICK staying up with that type of technologies?
Yeah.
Have you been putting any little bugs in those sensors to help us out with that long term?
I don't know, the way that it's awfully a skewed question there. It's kind of loaded. I'm not as aware because I'm not in the vision side of things, but yes, I've been seeing our own LinkedIn posts and ads and stuff, and the vision guy, sits next to me in the office. But yes, we are putting that machine learning, and I also really appreciated that you said machine learning too. That those words have kind of dropped off, and everybody's calling everything an AI. It's like, I put a search thing and I got a result. It's AI. It's like, first off, I don't know that it's artificial or intelligent, but machine learning is really. It also sounds less scary. But yeah, so we've been doing machine learning on our vision stuff, like looking at patterns and saying, okay, this is a good box. This is the box with the lid open. This is the box with the flap open. It doesn't have to always be exactly the same. So we've been putting that machine learning in, so we don't have to show every particular angle that could be bad. But lately, we actually now have been having AI on board on the cameras. I don't know exactly what all that adds, but I think it's like you don't have to teach as many. You just say, this is a box, this is what different kind of boxes are, and then that's it. So even taking that machine learning and really pulling that in even more and using these AI, at least that's how we market it. There are AI chips in vision. As far as sensors and stuff like that, I don't think it's got the processing yet for that on board, but yeah, it's an interesting.
But you've got an
world,
ASICS. You have an ASICS chip in there, right?
Yes, that is correct.
In almost all your sensors, which that's a smart little old chip, from what I understand.
Yeah. I was just doing some training for some new hires and stuff, because that's part of my job now as product manager. But now I'm really just doing training for sensors and creating how-to videos. Just because with you mentioned like people aren't necessarily going and playing around and trying different stuff. They're going on on AI, say, hey, make this work for me. Yeah. So I'm trying to put a lot of stuff online so people can just look up and say, hey, how do I reset this to a factory default or whatever? But doing the training on these ASICs. So for people that don't know what that is the application specific integrated circuit. Yeah. That is one thing that makes it's really down into the kind of the details, and we try to market it sometimes like, the 5th generation ASIC. It's like people aren't going to buy it for that. But what it really does mean though is SICK isn't just using individual components. So we ripped apart, we took apart one of our inductive sensors. So a very just cheap inductive sensor, just a commodity, and there's like 6 parts. A competitive one, there's like 10 or 12. And that doesn't make it good or bad, but what it does is say when we're designing our ASICs for photo eyes, we can put the LEDs, we have a couple of them in here, on the chip, at a silicone level. And if you supply it with 24 volts, we're running those chips, we're running that on 24 volts versus having to have, you bring 24 in, but really it's going to regulate it down to 5 so that all the circuit, all the components, we're building all those components on like a silicone level and putting that chip into here, allowing us to do lots of fancy, amazing things in a sensor that's really just meant to go blip, 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 But yeah,
and
all the stuff that's really
create
going
an
on behind the
extremely
scenes.
reliable
Yeah.
product because there's less components inside of that little
Yes.
plastic box. And we have
Yep.
had tremendous success with SICK in extremely uh, hard applications
Hmm.
because of the simplicity of design and the bulletproofness of it. So it's built like a tank. So that's good.
Yeah, and it's hard to market that as a product where I'm the market product manager for stuff. How to market that, because there isn't a spec for that. Like I
Right.
keep going, I mentioned inductive sensors now a couple times, but we've got this a really big company shooting lots of satellites up in space. There's an inductive sensor on a lot of those, tens of thousands of them, and they were using, and I've run into this a couple other times, they were using our sensor. It's like, well, why? It's just an inductive sensor. There's the sensor and a piece of metal. Well, what you won't see in the spec sheet is the repeatability of the switch point. So you've got your inductive sensor, maybe it is actually the diameter of my finger. You got a piece of metal coming in. It turns on at exactly the same spot every time. And that's not a spec for inductive sensors. And the reason why is because we are developing these ASICs on a chip. We actually build the sensor all up, pot it, enclose it, thermal cycle 100% of them, and then trim it electronically, because we're building the circuit. We can do that. Versus, and so it's very, all the heating, all of that movement is done. Then we trim it. Versus normally how they're made is you have your board and then you laser trim off resistance levels to get it what you want, and then you install it, and then you pot it, and then you thermal cycle it. Things have shifted. Things are moving in there just a little bit, not a lot, not enough to make it a bad sensor at all. But just when you go head-to-head testing, it's like, oh yeah, yours are a couple percent more precise in their switch point. Not a big deal for most users, but when you're trying to time that and get exactly perfect, they're using our sensors. And yeah, it's interesting because you can't, I don't know how to spec that. So maybe just everybody will watch this podcast and now they'll know.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. Hope they listen to us that long. So that's a good thing. Hey, what do you see SICK in the next 5 years? What do you see?
Wow.
Some innovations,
a
glimpse into the future of what your company is going to be doing.
That's a great question. I've been here for quite some time, but I'm down in the trenches, and when we're making moves and stuff from higher up and organizing things every once in a while, we're like, man, where are we going? I wonder. I've got a lot of trust and faith though. That's like, okay, we're almost nearing a $2 billion company, so I know it'll be great. I know we're really looking at a lot of this digital stuff. So what all does that mean? I don't know, but you go to our website, the sick.com website, and a couple of weeks ago it changed. And it's really talking about taking a sensor and bringing it to a solution, and just kind of the digitization thing. We were probably really on the leading edge of this industry 4.0 and Internet of Things. I think and IO-Link. I think that's starting to catch up, or the market's catching up with what we can do. So I just see us doing a lot more of that. Our sensors are just getting smarter. There's so much data in it. I did a video on YouTube of, is your system hitting critical mass? Let's say of IO-Link, of, yeah, you just want on and off. It's going back to your PLC. But did you know, Mr. Customer, that probably most of the sensors and actuators you have on your system, they have an IO-Link chip in them? You may not be using IO-Link yet, but I think that turning just an on-off into a condition monitoring. Okay, it's on-off, on-off. Yes. Oh, but you know what? It's a millimeter closer now than it was when we installed it 2 years ago. Things might be wearing out. The Lantec rollers on the stretch wrapper might be wearing, and the inductive sensor still going blip, blip, blip every time it goes by. But you know what? It's moving a little bit. It might be time to do some preventive maintenance or, do something like that. So I see us moving just more and more towards simple outputs, yet there's just a whole lot of data we can make available.
It's interesting you say that because, everybody talks about wanting to have predictive maintenance, wanting to go and to tell you the condition that their factory is in. But it really starts with a sensor on a machine giving good data. If you have an your product on that machine, and then you start extracting data, you're not going to get good data on predictive maintenance. And I think people don't realize that you can say all you want to about having an automated plant that's predictive. You got all this stuff coming out, but unless at the point of origin you have a quality product that's giving good data, you're going to have inaccurate data about your plant. And that's one of the key things that with your product, when we put it in that point right there on the machine, we know we're going to get data. So, that's
Even
a
our
good
simple
vision.
on-off
And now you all
sensors
made tremendous investments in the United States, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I'm in my home office right now, but we have brand new production. I mean, and so being here as long as I have, I've been through. This is like the fifth change. So we expanded the building, and then we expanded the building. We had production. We had all of our logistics in one thing. Then we kicked logistics out because we're getting too big, and then now we basically have a 3-building campus. One of the buildings is a parking ramp, but yes, a two building campus for production, for systems, for sensors. We're making a lot of safety equipment and coders. It's a really nice. So we moved in December of this year, and at least I moved in. Our production facility's been up for about 2 years, and then the office in December. So it's we're right by the Mall of America.
That's quite a few millions of
Minneapolis
dollars.
area and the airport. What's that? Well, for sure.
Many millions of dollars have been invested in the United States from the German companies. Yeah.
Yes.
That's great. Well, listen, Dan, I've thoroughly enjoyed this today. Is there any parting words you want to go and have people remember after the end? I always do remember the beginning and the ends of these podcasts. What do you want to say at the end of this thing?
For those who are watching it, thank you Air Hydropower guys for doing this, and for your customers, ask what's new, because there is new stuff. There's still just even stuff that's even a couple years old. Let these guys show you or bring in, do lunch and learns, things like that. You've got your special your product pulse days. It's a way for people to just take a look and go, oh, that's what it can do. Because some of these, it's like, hey, what problems do you have in automation? I don't have any problems, because a good engineer wouldn't still have problems. They would solve that already. But when you can see, oh, that it can do that. Oh, I can mount it here. And it can allow engineers to kind of see what's available to them and makes their stuff better, make their stuff cleaner or less expensive or whatever it is. It's not about spending more money on this new fancy stuff. It's about cost reduction as well. Can you get more out of what you buy? And let Air Hydro let you guys showcase this stuff, and so you have a lot of tools to play with out there.
Well, we certainly appreciate the relationship with SICK. We appreciate you all being a platinum sponsor for our upcoming Pulse Days. And we just appreciate the relationship. After 20 years, you get to know a lot of people in your company, and you all know a lot in our company, and a lot of respect there, a lot of respect for your leadership, a lot of respect for the product knowledge. So thank you all very much for being a great supplier. We're keeping it up for at least another 20 years.
Sounds great.